Ricky here with Breaking Your Barriers. Two powerful as well as empowering women that are going to be sharing their stories, sharing their input, sharing their experiences, and sharing what you can do to overcome anything that has to do with mental health, gaslighting, just any kind of abuse that you've gone through. We're going to be sharing a lot of wonderful ideas today as well as thoughts. With that said, I'd like to go to introduce Margaret Manuel and Portia Dixon.
Thank
Hi.
you, Vicky. Hi, thanks for having us.
We have a chance to help people who are going to be watching us overcome any of the challenges they're going to be going through. And please definitely chime in. Your thoughts, your experiences, your input is going to be so helpful for anybody that's going through the same struggles. Now, that being said, I'd like to start off with mental health because I recently judged a speech contest where most of the contestants they're sharing their struggles, they're sharing their pains, they're sharing their lack of self-belief, their self-doubt, and not feeling worthy or good enough. I wanted to find out, starting off with Margaret, what are your thoughts with regards to this particular challenge that the youth are having nowadays?
Wow, a lot to say, and it's a thing. It's a serious thing, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. And you're right. I do find quite a good chunk that are, and we don't have perfect lives, so we do go through things on a daily basis or from time to time, and it's a matter of having that balance and also being very honest with yourself first. I myself, as a single mother, do go through it to, like the struggles of being a single mom, not having a partner. And as my son is growing up, he, as of lately, he would ask me, he's 5 years old, he would ask me things such as, hey mom, I want to have a brother or sister, or why do others have a big family but not us? So things like that I have, I answer it to the best of my ability, such as I go back to my faith. I reply to him in a manner where it's like, this is what God has for us, and whatever it is, whatever else that he has in store for us, he has a plan for us. But if I'm being honest, at times when he's asleep, I do, start crying because because he's asking for those things, and I do feel like I can't really provide that in a way where, like, we're like a two people household, me and him kind of thing. And but then he would ask me like, oh, why do others have, like he can't, but you know what he means by that, like there's other siblings, there's another member of the family. So that I do struggle with, if I'm being honest. And I have to first and foremost keep praying and giving me that strength, for God to give me that strength to overcome that. But I try my best to really surround him with our church family. Our church family is so great, and like his baseball team, like his school. And there are times that I can't really relate to sometimes I go to like some events and I can't really relate to other people in a way, because for the most part I would be the only single parent there, and they come in groups, and then we go back in the car, we do our thing, whatever it is, my son is doing whatever activity it is, and then we go back into the car, and then he would then ask me like, can we go to their house because there's a lot of them, can we go there? So but he's also a very social butterfly, so he likes to be with a lot of people. And that, you know, if I'm being honest, that does kind of, um, I guess like sometimes it kind of um breaks my heart, I guess, you know, if you will, because he does long for you know, other people all the time. So, and he's asking, but he's also seeing, you know, different sets of families, different kinds of families and things like that. So for me, I have to constantly, like I said, like go back to my, you know, explain it in a way, in like a spiritual way, like this is what, you know, what God has planned for us. And not only that, like our each family's unique. We're unique family where you also have like a lot of family, like, you know, through church, through your baseball, and they're your church family, they're your brothers and sisters in Christ. But I think it's really important to be honest with that. And to me as a single mom, because I know a lot of single moms that especially I think too, like especially with social media and just like all over media, like where, you know, we can do it all, we can but sometimes it's not that easy. And I feel like we're kind of held up to like a certain degree of like, this is what we must do. um I don't know if you feel that way too, Portia, as a single mother, you know, being a woman also, you know, it's kind of like we have to have it, you know, have it all together all the time. But really,
Yeah.
truth of the matter is we not really.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you in that aspect, because being a single mom, obviously, you're expected to hold it all together. You're expected not to have a breakdown. You're expected to push through no matter what and still be there and be responsible for someone else, correct? So it's like, where do you find that fair balance to make sure you're nurturing the needs of your children, balance social lifestyle for yourself, gainful employment and entrepreneurship and business ideas, as well as self-awareness and, you know, going through it and healing for yourself, right? So I think it's expected for women to hold it all together. And I'm actually glad that we're speaking on this topic about mental health, because it's not just something that affects us, but it trickles down to the people we come across, those that we love. And I too have endured, you know, sitting down with my daughter and hearing her say things like, "Oh, I want a brother. I want to be a big sister. I want," you know, and it's like, oh my gosh, I can't just pop it out of the oven. It's not
Yeah.
like oven, okay? You know, it's like, how do you explain to them for them to understand like what it takes without exposing them to, I don't want to say hiding them from the truth, but the reality of the process, right? It takes time for you to get through. Is someone behind me?
Your daughter.
Oh, she popped down. Yeah, that might be her. I'm like, hi again. Oh, wait, my stairwell right here. But yes, so back to what I was saying, it's how do you explain to them, you know, something that they want that you can't give them? It's not like you can just go to the store and buy a brother or sister, you know,
Yes,
mix in the ingredients like, oh, water here, a little sugar here, and pop it in the oven and they come out, right?
exactly.
So in that, it's hard because it's like, the reason you're a single parent is because obviously things didn't work out in that relationship with the other parent, right? But you don't want to bash the other parent in any negative light to your children, because at the end of the day, they're going to grow to discover their love or whatever feelings they have towards that parent, right? So you have to just show up, you have to be honest, and you have to just be as pure and patient as possible with them and explain to them like, oh, maybe God will bless us with that one day. Or, that's where I found myself as a single mother, getting my daughter involved in, mommy and me play dates, so that way she didn't feel that void of not having. But it can also be a little bit damaging because it's like now you're exposing them to the more
Right.
fans, more friends.
So you're
Oh,
experiencing that
yeah,
too.
yes,
Right. So I feel like,
so, like,
yes, and
oh,
I didn't think
what did I
exactly.
do?
And they didn't come with a manual, right? So I'm glad
Yeah.
you're sharing this because I was like for the past few weeks, and as the older that they get, and also like both our children, they play sports, so
Mhm.
then they form this team, and but they also see their team with like your siblings with big families and whatnot. So then you're like asked all these questions. Am I right?
Definitely. And it's ongoing. It's like a list to Santa Claus, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't produce all of this right now.
So being a single parent, how do you find balance so that you can find that alone time just to recuperate from being bombarded and then being asked all these questions, which is understandable because they're looking for dad, they're looking for
Mm.
sister, they're looking for brother. How do you find the balance to get back on track and still fight the good fight? Because being a single parent, there this is, I don't know if it's just an Asian thing, but they usually tie a stigma to it. Oh, you're a single parent. Oh, they shun you. And I'm thinking, how can you shun anybody that's a single parent? That's a powerful person right there.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Well,
how do you do it?
I I definitely have to say that it was a process. It took a lot of healing, a lot of growth, a lot of therapy, and a lot of praying. And honestly, when you mentioned maybe in the Asian culture, it's looked at as shun upon, I feel like that as well within my culture. And I think for me, I was surrounded by a lot of married women with families, and it was just like, oh, peachy king. So I'm not going to lie, I'm very transparent and honest with you by letting you know a lot of times I pretended. I was like, oh, he's just on work travel right now, So it was a lot of, oh, okay, he's working. And then I would meet parents that are like, oh, my husband's off on tour too, like whether it be in the army or something like that. Or, if they're in film or production or something of that sort, right? So I was able to scapegoat it. I was able to get by for quite a bit of time until I had to face the reality and say, why am I covering for someone that wasn't there for my daughter and I in the way that I needed them to be? And I too had to walk away. And I'm not sure if Margaret knows, but I I mean, Margaret does know, but not the depth of it. But I left while I was pregnant. And so even though I left during my pregnancy, a lot of people thought we were together during my pregnancy. So it wasn't until like my daughter was like 5 that people realized like, oh, they're not together. That was because that's when I finally gathered the courage and I went through the healing process after years of therapy, after years of going in and out of court, after everything, because it's like you said, you're shunned upon. You're like, oh my gosh, it didn't work out. Well, what did you do? Oh, like all those questions in the midst of trying to fight through and push through for your survival and your child's survival. It's like, it's too overwhelming. It's too chaotic. It's too much, right? So I believe I finally reached a point where it was like, you know what? I'm not going to sugarcoat anymore. I can stand in my truth. I feel confident. I feel like I can do this. It's not easy. It's definitely a daily struggle, but through that, I was able to like surround myself with a supportive village, go to networking meetings that helped me. I was surrounded by people that actually went through what I went through. I was able to open up and not feel ashamed because I start sharing my testimony. And once I did that, that's when you realize you're opening up yourself to others that can help you along your journey in your healing process. So I think once I was able to realize I can do that and feel free and feel like I can still have a life after,
Right.
it made me realize like, okay, this isn't impossible, right? Of
Right.
course, in our faith, we believe like, oh, okay, God's gonna get us through that. Oh my gosh, how could it happen to me? I don't know where to look up. It's been plenty of nights that I would like talk to Margaret and we're on the phone crying to each other and we're like, did your say this? Did your church? I don't know. You know, it's like you bounce off of each other until you realize like, why do I have this faith, but I'm walking in fear? Correct? So what is it that
Right.
I believe in? What is unseen and unknown to us? Why are we fretting or worrying about that? You know, we have the decision to walk in our purpose, manifest our dreams, and choose the life that we live based off of our belief in our faith and in whatever it is that we want to go after. So I had to put my foot down and I had to pull up my big girl pants and I said, you know what? No more settling, no more suffering, no more crying tears of like, pity me. It's time to buckle up and be a big girl and take the world by a storm. And that's what I had to do. And that's where I am today. And every day it's a blessing. I'm grateful. I'm humble. I'm appreciative. I'm thankful. But at the same time, you still have to take time for yourself, right? So when I look back on my past and I'm like, wow, my daughter's going to be 10 this year. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know how I would get this far in life had I not taken life by it's taken that grasp of life and just like saying, you know what, I can't do this anymore. Imagine me still settling. Imagine me still like being ashamed and pretending that we're something we weren't, you know, then I might not be where I am today.
Right.
You know, so it's like you have to take that leap of faith and you have to trust, and you're going to fall flat on your face. I'm not going to lie. It's not easy. You're going to cry. You're going to fuss. You're going to scream and shout, but
Right.
you're through it. You're going to get through it. And
And
I
that
say,
can happen multiple times too.
yes. And I say this not just as a single mother, but just on the topic of mental health, you know, not just women, men go through it too. Children go through it, you know? So that's why I say everything that we go through as individuals eventually affects others, especially those that we come across. And we live in a popcorn generation, correct? Where it's like everything is instant, everything is now, everything is like, go, go, go.
Gratification.
Yeah, if you're not working 24 hours a day and you're not, you know, sacrificing.
You're not hustling enough.
Yeah, you are not going to achieve your dreams, right? And it's like, well, if I don't get rest, I'm gonna flop over and die. And if I'm drinking all these energy drinks and eating bad or taking medicines that's you know, causing my health to be affected, you're gonna drop dead. So it's like we need to focus on being present, living in the now, and taking the time to actually listen to one another. And then we can see a generation of healing. We can see that things are not what they're all out like called out to be. Like we're living in a facade sometimes. And when we live in that, we find ourselves trying to fake it till we make it. And then when the truth comes out, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm ashamed.
It'll catch up to you too, you know, because we do live in this culture where there's a lot of pressure. Men, women, moms, you know, teens, younger generation, older generation. where, like you said, we have to, it's kind of like a pressure in a way to
Mhm.
be a certain thing where I feel like we need to, like you said, be present. And not only that, each one of us, we all have our own individual journey. So
Yes.
even though one, like maybe like this mom and another mom, they're like the same age, but one may not be married yet and one has this career with kids, and you can't, it's not like apples to apples, and everyone has their own individual journey. And like you said, like, healing from within, and it does affect other people around us. And it does, you're absolutely right. um that saying, hurt people.
Yeah.
I dislike that so much. I dislike that saying, because, and to a certain degree that could be true, and I've seen that too. But having said that, like, it goes back to healing from within. You really have to heal from within in order to, because it resonates, like when you're hurt, when you're in fear, when you're under a lot of stress, you can't, you can only fake it till you make it, to a certain point. Like, you can't
Yeah.
keep going, because it will just affect your mental health,
Yeah.
and then affect other people that are around you.
I appreciated what both you and Portia have shared, especially when Portia said, oh, my husband's out, my man is here, he's this and that. And the reason we do that is it's a defense mechanism where, number one, we don't want to be shunned upon. Secondly, we want to be accepted. However, when we're letting other people determine how we act, we become invisible. So sometimes it's more powerful when we stand alone and we accept our responsibilities and accountabilities, no matter what the situation is. Because no matter what we tell people, regardless if we say we're successful, unsuccessful, troubled, they don't care.
They
They'll have
don't.
their own
They don't
opinion.
care.
They
They're
don't
going to be
care.
like, better you than me.
Right. And they'll
So
have their own opinion regardless.
regardless, so we might as well be honest with ourselves
Mhm.
and realize one thing. You are more than enough. You have exactly what you have within you to do what it is you need to do. And the best thing you can do is find people, like-minded people,
Yeah.
who
Mhm.
will be your cheerleaders, who will kick your butt when you need a butt kicking, and who
Yeah.
will keep you accountable. Those are the kind of people we need in our lives. We don't need these people, hey, well, my husband's doing this. He probably doing something you don't know about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you trying to, sweep it under the rug, making it look like you look
Yeah.
good.
For sure. And you know what the saying goes to, more money, more problems too, right?
That's right. That's right. So when it comes to both of you amazing ladies talking about faith, huge, powerful, manifesting your own destiny. And both of you have said this today. We have to make our own choices. Nobody can make them for
Yeah.
us. And we got to keep getting up, because we're going to keep getting knocked down. We're going to keep running into barriers. We got to find a detour. We got to make a U-turn sometimes. We got to climb over, dig under, break through it. Whatever we need to do, that's our choice.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the story is going,
Mhm.
and that's what's so beautiful about life. And that's what my hope is for everyone that's suffering with mental health issues, because it's like you're experiencing something right now. But if you give yourself the opportunity to heal and to really grow, you have the opportunity to thrive in life and not close your chapter, and not let that end chapter be the now that you're living in. You want to continue to move forward. You want to continue to grow. And I feel like, because we live in a generation where people are so stuck on everyone else's opinion, we're ashamed to speak up. And I know in one of the previous sessions you guys had, you guys talked about I'm sorry, got distracted, lost my train of thought that fast. But how, when you're going through something, you're ashamed of it. But when you're being judged and criticized, you're even more ashamed of it, right? And you need someone to go to. And if you're being told, oh, that's what I was going to reference back in previous session, you guys talked about how they say, oh, if you're going through something, speak up, right? And when you're speaking up and the authorities and everyone else can't see any physical harm to you, and it's more mental and psychological, they're like, oh, you're just
You brush it
exaggerating,
off, yeah.
know? And that's why people sweep it under the rug, especially if you're growing up in a culture where you're being told, like, keep it in the house, don't tell our business, or
There's a lot of
I,
those.
exactly. So it's like, I feel like we live in a generation where the healing is happening, but we're also living in a generation where it's like medication is being prescribed instead of the
Yeah.
therapeutic healing that needs to be done. You got to get to the core root of it. And sometimes when someone's expressing themselves and they're going to a therapist or a doctor, or just someone that's not really giving a care and maybe collecting a paycheck instead, they're not being treated the way they actually need to be treated. And so now you're giving them a prescription that can possibly cause other emotions within their health, that may trickle into them doing something harmful, just because it's just an overwhelming amount of, emotions that they're going through and they're not able to resolve on their own, right? So you have to be careful with who you open up to. That's going to save you a lot of time and energy and what you're sharing when you're not seeking professional help. I think it's important to seek professional help, but outside of professional help, you should seek support groups that can actually help you along that journey and kind of pace yourself. Don't compare yourself to someone's
Mhm.
someone else's journey. And I think that's where it crosses so much, because you're like, well, I did this and it worked, but it's not working for me. You can't compare your journey to someone else's. That's the same thing they say when you have children. You can't compare your children's milestone to the next child's milestones,
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely speak up, never feel ashamed, and journal. That's something I did. Read, journal,
Yeah.
read, find things that encourage you. I know for myself, being a single mom and having a daughter, I got kind of tired of trying to like put on this fake image. And sometimes I didn't really want to be around people. So I found myself taking my daughter out on little dates, me and her, and then traveling, and me and her would just do different things to escape our environment and see more of what the world had to offer. And once I realized, like, that kind of helped me therapeutically. It allowed me to open my mind up to the possibility and the potential and just what the future can hold for us if I just apply myself. And I think that's something that people need to do, is pace themselves, be patient, and apply themselves, and don't give up, because it's a beautiful ending if you allow it.
It sure is.
Portia, Margaret, I was going to ask both of you.
Yes.
Why is it that the most toxic people who are in ridiculously toxic relationships, the first ones to give advice?
I think they like hearing themselves.
What do you think, Margaret? I'm curious too. I'm so curious why they're the ones, oh, you're not married? Oh, you should be married. And I'm like, but your relationship is horrible.
I think it's more their own insecurity that they're projecting into others, because I just feel like that's what it is, right?
Right.
And not only that, they can be very judgmental. And going back to what you said, Portia, earlier, like, really be careful with like whoever you share, your struggles with, especially struggles. With that, and also your wins, because that's how people are for you if they're happy, if you're, winning. Like also celebrate little wins.
Yeah.
They may be little for other people, but any type of win, big or small, medium, whatever, even if, say for example, what is that? Like watered your plants today and you're a plant person, that's a win. Go get a donut, or something. Things like that. So I think like for me, I've learned to really celebrate like little wins or whatever it may be. Like if my, son like drew, and he loves to draw, like when he drew something, like, oh, that's so beautiful, let's go out for ice cream later. Or like if I have been like working from home for quite some time and I'm like, hey, let's get out of the house, let's go get your chocolate ice cream. Things like that. I think it's really important to celebrate the little wins. And like you said too, like traveling, like being a
Mhm.
single mom, it's so nice to, I'm being honest, not have to answer to a partner, because you can just up and go and do whatever you want. So,
And I
like,
also, sorry to shut you down, but
no.
I think also it feels good to know, like, I was able to get through it. I'm doing this on my own. Like, it's me and my little one, and like
Absolutely.
I said, it just,
Yes.
and what you do for your children, they greatly appreciate, and they'll remember those memories forever, and I look back and I'm like, wow, I'm so honored to be her mother, but I'm so grateful that I had the courage and strength to get up and leave when I did and not look back and just trust that things would work out, even when they didn't feel like they would. But those sacrifices led to where we are now and where we can enjoy life. And it's not going to just say like everything's washed away and you're not going to go through things, but you learn to cope with them and you learn to deal with them, and you're like, oh, this again, okay, well, let me figure out how to get through it.
Exactly.
And those are little wins when you realize you're not reacting, but you're responding in a way that's going to help benefit you and your children and your future. And it's just such a proud feeling. So for me, that's a win. And you don't have to answer
Absolutely.
to anyone.
Yes.
Right.
No, that and you know what I learned? I have to share this. I learned this from Portia, and I have to really commend you and really thank you for this. So I was really inspired by her when I would like see her post. I was like, oh girl, you're out at a restaurant and this and that. And she and I are like, we're homegirls, we're girlfriends. I was like, who are you out with, girl? And then she's like, no, I'm out with Haley, my daughter, and I don't need to wait for anybody to take me out on a date. And I was like, she is absolutely right. So since then, I was really inspired by that. So like every once in a while, like, my son and I, we go on our dates and just whatever it is, or like a steakhouse, or like, hey, let's get dressed up. Like things like that's our time together. And now he calls it Mommy and Caleb Day. So actually, like we had one for Mother's Day, and we did one like a week prior to that because I felt like, well, it's gonna be like really busy during like Mother's Day weekend. And then he would tell me like, oh, after school, I told my friends that we went out on a date. So, like I just think, and like you said, like the memories, it's really like what they take on as they grow up, not like, and for me, this is just my personal opinion. I'm not so into like gifts, like purchasing this and that. To me, it's more important to, yes, time
Mhm.
and your quality time with them. And I'll be honest, like as far as like holidays, I don't have much gifts under the Christmas tree. I really don't. And to me, it's important to like, hey, let's, like for me, it's like the experience. And having walked away from what the experience that I had before, like to me that has also been a gift on its own for me, like with the experiences and the places that we go to, the places that we explore, the restaurants that we discover, the desserts or whatever it may be. That's also like celebrating your little wins, because those were the things that I was pretty much like told, no, you can't do that. You can't, because I was like, held back and like on so many things, or like, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. And just like being manipulated and gaslit. Like there's things that, what I was made to believe I couldn't do, but now being out of it, like, oh, I can do this now and it feels good. And I'll be honest, sometimes like when we do travel, for example, I am so tired at the end of the day. It's like, okay, let's do this. And a lot of the times I do things on the fly. Like, okay, let's just do this. And that, I think that would be like the pro of like social media and like the internet, because you can look up things and post things or whatnot. And then at the end of the day, like for instance, we travel, like we do like a bunch of things throughout the day. And my little one, how I celebrate like that travel, like I just stare at him sleeping and he's tired and I'm tired too. But as tired as I am, I'm so happy that we did this. And like we did this together. And we may have driven like 4 hours away, but it's the experience. So even just like, even if we travel like 4 hours away and have like the same pizza as like how we would have in LA, it's still in a different place. And like, he'd be like, Mommy, I like being here. We've never been here before. He would like say those things to me. And I think that's, really important to celebrate your wins and whatever, however, don't think of them as little. I feel like every win is a progress, and celebrate each progress that you make. And that's how that's what helped me, or that's what helps me, I guess, if you will.
Every single win is what I consider a memory milestone, regardless if it's something that you went through that was absolutely challenging in your life, painful. You got through it.
Yeah.
You got through it. Similar to when we have a flat on the road, is similar to, for example, a bad relationship. You run into a barrier that's like a job transition. You run into a speed bump. Maybe it's family members who are talking trash. Whatever it may be. Every single one of these things that we've overcome are memory milestones, because there's no such thing as a finish line. When you're alive and you want to get to the finish line, that means you're dead.
Yeah.
There's no finish line while you're alive. So keep making these memory milestones, leave them on this beautiful journey that you're creating. And yeah, you're going to see some ugly, you're going to go through some rainstorms, snowstorms, mudslides, whatever it may be. But what you got to keep doing is what both of you have already pointed out heavily, which is you've got to keep going, and you got to do it with a support group. You got to do it with people that matter. You got to do it with people that actually love you for who you are, not what you can do for them. People who love you for who you are. And I have a huge smile on my face just listening to both of you, because today I got to share this. For those that are listening, I told you we're going to have two amazing champions on the show today, two amazing heroes. Now, these ladies are amazingly powerful. They are empowering. So if you think your situation is singled out, it's not. Listen to these two wonderful women. If you need to reach out to any one of us, we do have a group. We are forming a group, because most people find an easier way of talking trash about other people. We find a way of uplifting people. So reach out to us, leave us a message, and I promise you, either one of these great women will get back to you. I'll get back to you.
Absolutely. Reach out, and like what we've been saying this whole time, be honest first and foremost with yourself. And that's the way we can help one another and also heal from within.
If this will be, I'd love to hear both of your point of views. This would be the I don't even want it to close out, because it's been so fun. Fun, great, emotional, educational, motivational, inspirational. Are there any other words that I'm missing?
You said it all.
This is the question I have for both of you, and feel free, whoever wants to go first. The question is, what words of hope, as well as positivity, would you like to share with your listeners, for people who are going through the same challenges both of you are going through?
Well, I'll start by saying, just hold on to some sort of hope faith, and belief. Because, like I said earlier, this part of your reality that you're living in is not the end. You have so much more that's ahead, that's unseen, unknown, and unfamiliar. But if you give yourself that opportunity to get to that point, you'll look back and see the growth that you were able to get through. So keep pushing through. Don't give up, and just believe in yourself, believe in your support system, and honestly, just weed out all the negativity in your life, whether it be family members, friends. Surround yourself with positivity. Find that source of light that's going to make you smile on the inside, even if it's taking a little walk down to your favorite eatery or winery. That's something I had to do. Was I had to stop looking at life and seeing everyone else live in their purpose and living happily, whether it was for a fake it till you make it session or whatnot. I had to stop living through their reality and put myself in a position where I wanted to live in the reality of what I was seeing. So if you're looking at the Kardashians and wondering how they got to that point, put yourself in those places where you can experience that excitement. And then you'll find yourself surrounded by things that you want to do. You'll see that there's more to life than what you're going through. And you're going to be determined to achieve those things and goals in life. So keep pushing through. Don't give up.
Love that. That's
Thank you,
so
Portia.
true. That is so true, Portia. And I would like to say that, yes, to add on, definitely keep pushing through, and really a lot of prayers. God is so good. God is so good, and you have a purpose, and God has a purpose for you. And if you're unsure of what it is, keep praying about it. And when you feel good doing it, that is your purpose. And also, I hope I don't say this the wrong way, but really don't care what people say. That's like the best advice I can give to anybody. Don't care. Do you, so long as you're not stepping on anyone. Do you, and just don't care about what, even if they're your family, or like I was, telling you guys earlier, someone's always going to say something, but you might as well live a life that you're happy with, and if they do, that's their own personal insecurity. Just don't mind them. And if you have to block people for you to have peace, do it. If you have to say no and disappoint someone else for you to have peace and for your mental health and your mental being, do it, because really you come first. You have to come first, and then you can show that love to your children. You have to really take care of you first.
Wow. If you didn't pick up something from today, I don't know what to tell you, because there are so many points that you can definitely utilize in your own life. And similar to what the ladies just said, if you're going to do something anyway, we only have one life to live. You might as well chase what you are passionate about. Don't listen to people telling you, oh, I wouldn't do that, I tried it. Well, that's your shortcoming. I don't have to listen to that. My limitations are not here. It's this. I am the limitation, and I can choose how big or how small I want it to be, which means you're limitless. So chase your passions. Definitely what Margaret just said, be a nonconformist, because if you want to stand apart, you can't follow the herd. And if you want to make a difference, you have to stand apart so that you can be the light for other people, showing them that, hey, I did something that other people thought was undoable. Now they know it's possible. Now you give them a chance. Now you give them something to strive for. Both of you ladies were amazing, and it's been wonderful having both of you on the show today. Love it.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. Such a pleasure. Thank you so much, Ricky. Thank you, Portia.
Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, Margaret. I have to leave off by saying I am so proud of you, Margaret. I am so proud of you. Miss Hawaii Petite. Oh my gosh.
Oh, thank you. Oh God, I'm so humbled by that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you to you both. Thank you so much.
You're living in your purpose, and I'm seeing it. I'm just like so proud to be your friend and sister. And it's just incredible to see how far you've come in this journey. And Caleb's growing and thriving. And you are out there doing the darn thing, I must say. Okay.
And see,
Well,
this is the type of people that you have to have in your life. Exactly. This is exhibit A.
exactly. So in closing, once again, thank you from Ricky here at Breaking Your Barriers, inspiring one person at a time. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Brittany.
you.
Thank you, Portia.